So that was that. And he was such a good student. He'd come home at night, go to his bedroom, and take his books, and you never hear another peep out of him until morning. He'd just go in there and study and dig. And nobody said a word to him about it. He just did it. And that's the reason he was so high in school. If it hadn't been for Margaret Ann someone, Chrissy? Where's that paper? She was on it. She was the one girl that he couldn't beat. Margaret Ann Chrissy. She was a valedictorian, I think, or something.
Was she?
Mm-hmm. And he said she cheated to do it.
Normal scholarship award, Margaret Ann Chrissy.
Yeah. He said she cheated, said she just copied off of him and everybody else.
So where'd Dad come by that work ethic? Where did he get that from?
Oh, your dad, your granddad. Lord,
Yeah.
He was a worker. Your granddad was well, Uncle Andrew Bennett said that your dad was the best worker you ever had in the mine, or your granddad, and said that when we got married, of course, Dad was so scared that I was going to really be hurt, you know, and Uncle Andrew, of course, Alvie had worked in the mine, and Uncle Andrew told him, he said, you don't need to worry about that. Said he's as good a boy as you could find any place, and says he's a good worker, and he says she'll never want, as far as Alvie's concerned, if he can possibly get it. And so that helped with Mom and Dad a lot, to think that Uncle Andrew, and of course Ned, they were working down on the hard road when it was in 1935. It was the year we were married, and the temperature went up to 105 or 7, you know. And they were working down in the hard road there, but Liverpool Road that goes from Peoria.
Yeah, yeah.
And they were working on that road, and he was jumping puddle. Did you ever hear of that? Is someplace, right? But you know how they have that big machine that throws out the cement?
Yep.
They used to have it anyway. I don't think they do it that way now. But they threw out the cement, and then the men stood behind it and puddled it, and it was killing work, that's all. But Ned and Alvie was doing it, and one day Alvie got sick, and the sweat went in on him. He was just deathly sick, got overheated, and so Ned got him off the side of the road and just covered him up with weeds and let him stay there for an hour or so, and then he was able to get up and go ahead and work. But that was one of the things. No, Alvie was...
microphone there.
Oh, that was the same thing with the coal mine. He worked in a coal mine. He'd dig more coal than any of the other miners, you know, and he'd load it, get it out, and so after we got married, why, he was working in the coal mines, what he was doing, and he'd gone down to Havana. They were building the big bridge across Havana, the big one that's there now, and he applied for a job, and so when he come home, why, I had the good news to tell him that his uncle and Claude, my brother, had picked his application out at International, and for him to come in, and if he could pass the physical, why, that he'd have a job. And at the same time, he had this job down there on the river where he had to get in the cage and go down in the dumbbell to the...
Grandpa did that kind of work?
That was what he was going to do. And he come home, and I said, well, you don't have to do that. I was scared to death for him to do it. Because you know...
Those are real dangerous jobs.
I know they were.
You get the bends and stuff from doing that kind of bridge work.
And I was just scared to death for him to do it. But
Did Grandpa ever actually do that kind of work?
No, I don't think he did, because he didn't get to. So, and then he had his application into the minings too, and he did work in that, putting sinkholes, or some kind of holes, down, and he did that, and he took cold, and he got infection in both ears, and they abscessed and run, and that's the only reason he kept out of that, was he didn't get onto mine because his ears was so bad that he was having trouble with them. But he had worked at the mine. But anyway, when Dave Bennett was the doctor there at the mine, at the International, and Alvie's uncle was a boss, Dick Pittman, and he was head over certain parts. And of course, Claude was in the office, and Claude knew Dick, and they got together and they gave Alvie the job.
You'd think he'd have an in, wouldn't you?
He did have. Thank God he did. And he started working there, and he worked there for the next, well, he had over 38 years, you know, when he retired.